So let's go ahead and look at how those equations are connected with some more math. I'm not really talking rubber bands. No, I'm talking more along straight line. No, really not like that either. More like graphing. So remember, we're looking at the cost of making math books and selling math books, and we want to find out where we made a profit. Remember last time we found that if we made 10 books, we were not making a profit, but 100 we definitely were. And we want to find out exactly where that is. Well, our cost and our revenue equation look like equations of a line. So let's look at the graphs of those lines and see if we can determine the profit by just looking at those lines. So if we have our graph here, notice what I used as far as my scale. So down here for x, I let x equal the number of books, and I counted by fives just because I knew I wanted to go at least to 100. And then if you look at the y-axis, I have the y-axis in money. Now I don't have two separate graphs because I want to compare the graphs to each other. So I have my c of x and my r of x, both which are equal to money. So they're going to be different lines. But my money, I know I'm going to have to go up at least to 6,500 because I know that that's one of my points on there. I know when I sell 100 books, that's my revenue, $6,500. So I made sure my graph went all the way up there, and I'm counting by 500s. So for my C of x equals $25 times x plus 3,000, I'm going to let that equal y, because y is my money that I'm talking about. C of x and y we can interchange here as long as we remember that those y's are different than each other in many, many places. Wouldn't it be great to know where those y's were equal? That means my cost would equal my revenue. So I'd be making $0, but after that I would make a profit. So let's go ahead and graph this. I'm going to graph my cost equation first. My y equals 25x plus 3,000. I know my y-intercept is at $3,000. So even if I make 0 books right here, I know I have to pay that $3,000. Now I need to figure out where my next point is. Well, it's not very easy to do 25 over 1 here because I'm talking in terms of $500. So I'm going to use another point on this line that I determined from my last equation. So if I can do that, if I can find 2 points, I can draw the line. So remember, I plugged in 10 if I sold 10 books, and I tried to find out what that would equal. So when I had 10 in there, I know that my money is equal to $3,250. Now that's a pretty easy point to graph because if you look at this, I have 3,000, I'm counting each dash is 500, so that means each one in between there is 250. So 3,250 is an easy point for me to plot. So I know that when my number of books is 10, and remember I'm counting by fives on the x-axis, so I can go over 5, 10, and then I can go up to 3,250 and I can get an exact point there. So let's go ahead and do that. And then we'll connect them to form our line. So try to go exactly through those points. Go all the way up, and this is our line that represents our cost equation. So if we look over on X for our number of books, we can see how much money it's costing us to make those books. So we can use this line to figure out how much a certain number of books costs. Now let's go ahead and graph our revenue equation. Well, our y-intercept is 0. If we make 0 books and sell 0 books, we're making $0. So that's pretty easy for our y-intercept. And we know our slope is 65. So if our slope is 65, we could use that to graph it, or we could use another point that we have. Well, we know when we make 100 books, we make $6,500. And that is on our screen. So we're just going to go ahead and use that as our coordinate point to connect our line. Now for every 65 we go up, our change in y, we go over 1. And this is the equation of our revenue. So that's how much money we're making each time. Now those are two different lines, but we can look at where they cross. Right where they cross, that means they're equal to each other. They have the same solution. And so if we look at the place where they cross, we can find out where the cost is equal to the revenue. So the money from our cost is equal to the money for our revenue. And it looks like that's right at 75 books. So right at 75 books, it looks like my cost is equal to my revenue. So at 75 books, I'm actually not making any money at all. My cost is equal to my revenue. But after 75 books, my red line, my revenue line, is higher in money than my blue line. And after 75 books, I can make money. This is what's known as my profit. And actually, graphing is not the easiest way to solve these kinds of problems, especially if you don't have nice exact numbers. So we're going to look at two other ways you can solve to see where the cost is equal to the revenue. Let's make some more connections. Ow.